I learned from one of my principals at McBee High School, Mitchell Baker, a long time ago that you never have a meeting that you allow to go in circles. When you're ready for the meeting to be over, you stand up, and invariably the other person will as well, ending the meeting. Simple solution. Now that becomes more difficult when you aren't the one running the meeting, but it can be effective, particularly if you are one of the primary attendees at the meeting. In other words, they can't have the meeting without you, and you have stood up to signal that the meeting is over. And if they don't take the hint, you announce the meeting is over to help them along. I've employed that a number of times. Now, I've been fortunate to work with a number of great principals over the years, only a few bad ones in 49 years. And Joe Farrell was one of the really good ones. Now, Joe had not hired me, but had taken over the job during the summer after the principal who had hired me retired. I liked Joe right away. I told him I wasn't happy with the way things had gone in the interim, like my teaching schedule not being what was promised when I was hired, and my not being able to make any hires. All problems associated with things being somewhat in limbo in the interim between one principal leaving and the other coming in. Let me know what you were promised, and I'll make sure it's taken care of, is what he told me. Now, principals in football can be tricky. Some play the game and know enough to let the coach do the coaching while giving him what he needs to be successful. Others play the game and think they know how to coach it. Others never played the game, don't understand its importance in high school, and don't give the coach what he needs. Then there are those who didn't play, but who do understand the importance of high school football and do give the coach what he needs. But they also know they don't know the game and they leave the coach alone. Joe was one of those guys. He told me the first time we met, I never played, I don't know football, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do. You coach the team and I'll support you. Joe was my principal at Walter M. Williams High School in Burlington, North Carolina. Williams had a great tradition in football, stretching back for 5 decades. It had recently fallen on lean times, and I was hired to try to get the program back on track. In order to do that, you need the right person in the principal's office, and Joe was the right man for the job. One day, Joe came and asked me if I would meet with a parent. He told me who it was, and I knew why they wanted to meet. Their kid, who had been in trouble constantly since the day he transferred to Williams, had cursed out a coach and quit after the Thursday night JV game. When he tried to come back on Monday, I told him no. He was finished for the season. He could come back the next year if he got his act together. So what had happened was that after the JV game on Thursday night, Coach Alex Mebane was collecting all the JV uniforms. Alex did not coach the JV, but he was in charge of equipment uniforms. He wanted to be in charge of them. Alex was a hard-working coach who had been a head coach before and knew all the little things that had to be done in order for a program to be successful. He was in the weight room all day in charge of the PE classes in there, and he made equipment and laundry his job. After JV games, even on the road, Alex would be sitting in the back hall of the gym, making sure every kid turned in their uniform before leaving, and he would get the laundry started. The kid was unhappy with the number of times he had gotten to carry the ball during the game. did not get as many carries because one, he didn't know his plays. Two, he fumbled the ball several times. And three, he did not follow instructions. He thought he was playing in the backyard. He'd just be handed the ball and he could run wherever he wanted. Anyhow, when the player got back from the game, he threw his jersey at Coach Mebane and literally told him he had enough of this shit and was quitting. Alex took his jersey and put it on a pile. I had been in a similar situation to Alex when I was an assistant at Apex High School, except I wasn't in charge of laundry. I just happened to be the coach sitting in the coach's office after the game in case something happened up there. This was the last regular season game of the year. We still had the playoffs in front of us. But after the game, the starting quarterback came into the office, threw his jersey on the head coach's desk, and told me he quit. I didn't know why he did then, and I still don't know exactly why to this day. The next week, he tried to come back. To his credit, the head coach, Bob Wolf, told him no. By the way, we sprung an upset over a top-ranked team in the state the next week in the first round of the playoffs. To his credit, the former quarterback was in the stands cheering as loudly as anyone for his team. I saw the opposite happen my first year at McBee High School. My first year there, we had two quarterbacks. After our first scrimmage, one of them quit right there on the field. I guess he didn't like splitting time. He threw off his equipment and called us all sons of bitches on his way up to the locker room. The head coach let him back on Monday. I'll be honest, that shit didn't sit well with me, and I let the head coach know how I felt. But back to our Burlington Williams story. At this point, of course, I'm the head coach sitting in a situation, and I've got to spend some of my time dealing with this crazy kid and his even crazier parents. But Joe said they were threatening to go to the newspapers and to the board, and it would maybe make this go away if I met with them. He said it would make his life easier, if nothing else. So I agreed. The kid had come to us from another school in the district, where his family had accused the coach there of racism when he didn't get to play enough to suit them. It was as ridiculous and bogus a claim as anyone had ever made. They were using that to try to get a transfer out of that school, since the kid wasn't playing there for the same reasons he couldn't play for us. When that didn't work, they tried to use a fake address to transfer. But we knew better, and they got caught. But they eventually somehow pulled off the transfer despite our protest. I think just by threatening to pursue their claims of racism that didn't exist. School district officers will often take the path of least resistance over making the correct decisions. And the kid was a constant problem. So as I walked into this meeting, there was his dad, a woman I assumed was his mom, and some other guy in a white beater shirt and his hat turned at an angle with jewelry dangling from his neck. Vanilla ice gone bad, if you will. The father aired his complaints that it was all somehow Coach Mebane's fault, which I thought was a novel direction to go in since Mebane wasn't coaching the JV, he wasn't coaching the kids, he was only collecting uniforms. He wouldn't have known who the kid was, except for all the trouble we were having with him. Dad went into his claim of Alex cursing his kid. First of all, Alex doesn't curse. He's extremely religious. He runs all the Fellowship of Christian Athletes meetings in the county. and he doesn't curse to the point of people laughing at the words he uses so as not to curse. I pointed all this out, along with wondering to the dad why Coach Mebane would just right out of the blue curse his kid when he never had any dealings with him other than to collect uniforms. So then it passed to Mom with her version, which was similar to the dad's, but which made even less sense. She backtracked to their accusations at the previous school, like this had something to do with that. Then somehow Vanilla Ice Light joined in, with Mr. Farrell asking me exactly who he was and why he was in the meeting. He cut him off as not having any stake in the matter, just because he was the mom's current boyfriend. He told him he could only stay if he kept quiet. Good for Joe. He probably sensed I was nearing a who the fuck are you anyhow moment with that dude. Then it went back to the dad again, who continued down the same trail again. This time I've wasted nearly 30 minutes sitting in this stupid meeting. I've told them I am not, under any circumstances, going to change my mind. The kid is not coming back to the team. Period. Mr. Farrell has made it clear he is not going to overrule me. Dad starts up on Coach Mebane again. He's just angrier now, and I've had enough. I stand up and say, we've gone around and around on the same complaints. I'm not changing my mind. I've made that clear. There's no point in continuing when I've got work to do. The principal's office at Williams High School is arranged so there's a formal entrance off the main office. But there's a private door behind the office that leads out into the school hallway. I turned and walked out the private door. It was right behind me and went out in the hallway, went down to my classroom, and went to work. A few minutes later, Mr. Farrell showed up at my room, as I expected he would. I thought he might be unhappy. There are those principals who certainly would have been. He wasn't. He was ecstatic. That was great. Can we have an end service so you can show the other teachers how to end a meeting that's gone on way too long? We never heard from those parents again. If you've coached or taught, you've been in those meetings with crazy parents. You can't let them control the meeting. You don't want to get into a knockdown, drag-out argument with them. You don't want to give them ammunition to use against you. But you don't have to put up with the crazy bullshit either. State facts, get out. I've had meetings where the parent couldn't control their own child. Had more than one in which the student was rude and disrespectful to his parents in a meeting. When the parent didn't call him to task over it, I did. Don't talk to your parents that way. They raise you and support you, and they took time off work to come here today. Show some respect. I've had meetings where the parents just believed any nonsense that kid told them and didn't hold the kid responsible in any way for anything. I stated the facts, told the group I had no intention of arguing with the kid in the meeting, and ended it. I've even had a meeting in which a mother brought her football player in to see me because she couldn't make him behave at home. I explained to him clearly that if his mom had to contact me again about his behavior or disrespect at home, I would suspend him from football immediately. No questions asked. I made it clear I didn't have time to have meetings about his behavior. She didn't have any more issues. Coaches, you have more impact over these players' lives than you know. Hold them accountable, even if no one else will. You owe it to them.